everybody, and welcome to this WBC Talk. We have a lot of experts here this time, and it's a pleasure to have them here. First, let me introduce Chris Migliore. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm currently in Las Vegas, where I live, and I'm an official here. It's a little hot. We're cracking the 100s pretty much every single day, but excited to be here, kind of share some of our knowledge and talk boxing.
I can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in Las Vegas, excited to have the WBC talk. We're excited. There's a lot of people on here. We'll have some good conversations. We're going to watch some rounds. There's a lot of experience on here, so interaction between the crowd and us would be helpful. And we can talk about some things maybe that's going on in boxing. But we'll be watching some rounds today and having the conversation about close, moderate, decisive. And we'll cover a few different topics.
That is wonderful. Kevin Scott, good to have you here. Your microphone is off.
Sorry, I was on mute. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me, Victor. I'm also in the United States. I live in North Carolina, which is about halfway between New York and Florida. And looking forward to this to talk a little bit about scoring, make everybody more consistent, and hopefully a better judge going forward.
You don't have to explain where North Carolina is. Everybody knows where Michael Jordan played.
Yeah, against my rival team. Thanks, Victor.
And Paul Landeros. Paul, it's so good to have you here too.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you, and very excited to be here with all this great ring officials panel.
I just want to thank, of course, Sochi Lagarda and Mauricio Suleiman. Both are the masters of this WBC Talks, and it's been a great journey with this. And also Gilbert and Gabby, that are the producers. This WBC Talks is about scoring, as you might know. But I want to go always with the basic, Chris. What is scoring in boxing?
It's after the round, how we as officials decide who wins a round or loses a round. And part of the WBC, which is come on, obviously everybody knows, is we then judge the round by close, moderate, decisive, extreme decisive. We'll go through a PowerPoint pretty quickly of kind of the bones of a round, what makes us get to close, moderate, decisive, and scoring criteria of what we're supposed to use so that we can try to get the correct score. We all see rounds differently from different angles or different punches, but consistency comes in a lot of ways. We want to be able to speak the same language. We want to be able to learn from each other so that we pretty much all see kind of what we're supposed to as we go through rounds.
Kevin, how easy is to get this common sense and same view of a fight for judges?
It's just like Chris said, we all need to talk about it and make sure we're all on the same page for this scoring. Paul just happened to mention something when we were meeting right before this, that somebody in one of the training classes mentioned something that is a different view that we don't use anymore. And it's those things that we just need to talk about and understand. We're all here to be better. So we all might be wrong about something. You just have to change your thoughts about how you look at it.
Basically, the idea of this talk is to get inside the head of these three judges and hear what they're appreciating during the round and talk with them and then exchange, because many times you hear the judges saying, oh, you just have to keep concentrated and be very, very concentrated. But I want to know, how does your mind work during a round, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak for myself. You have technique. Oh, did you say Paul? I'm sorry.
No,
Go,
please
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I think there's different techniques, and everybody's different in how they concentrate. I mean, we deal with a lot, from corners yelling to the referee walking in front of us, to people coming and distracting you, photographers, outside noise, while we're supposed to be focused on a very challenging competition fight between two fighters. I use a technique where I'm basically talking to myself through the round. I kind of look at a round that Mr. Ford taught me as it's kind of like a horse race. You have leaders and the race goes on for 3 minutes. So I'm constantly talking to myself. Where I also use a pen sometimes, where I'll use my hands to kind of keep track of where I am, kind of little techniques that I know I have to refocus. But concentration is different throughout the entire round. We're focusing on the effectiveness of punches. We're focusing on our different types of scoring criteria. For me personally, I do a lot of talking, which I try not to use my mouth so I don't look like a crazy person. But sometimes that slips. But we all work on our techniques. I mean, I think that with obviously the collection of judges here, I see Mr. Lynson's on today, which is always great to see, even though his team had a pretty bad draw yesterday in the World Cup, but we won't bring that up. But we can use all these ways to try to figure out what works best for you. And I think that that's what's great about this community.
Paul.
Thanks. What I have learned from ring official seminars is to, as Chris just told, to go round by round, but also second by second. So in this way, I use my scorecard. We have all the charts, close, moderate. So what I do is to move myself. If the round starts here,
it is not
and
clear
the
because
action.
You have your
yeah.
blur on the back.
Well, so this is a ticket, not a scorecard. But let's just imagine we have close here, moderate here, and the rest of the charts. So I just keep moving forward as the action develops. The fight starts here, so I keep moving myself if depending the actions are developing. That's my technique I use.
I spent a lot of time with Don Jose, and it was amazing to watch him scoring a fight or thinking. He was so natural with that, and he explained me these two techniques that he used to talk about: a balance or scale, where you move the bars, or color bars like now they use in the video games. So it is, I'm not sure if that's what you're still using, Chris, Kevin, Paul, but I remember him. And then I'm not judging a fight. Usually I'm commentating a fight, but at the same time, I'm trying to do the same. And I need to explain this very clearly. When you're commentating a fight, your concentration is not 100% in scoring, because you have to talk and you have to say. So even when I'm a boxing commentator, I will tell you this: it's not 100% reliable, the point of view of a commentator when he scores a fight, because he's not 100% concentrated and trained as it is a judge, a professional judge. I have to admit this. If somebody asks me, I never said this, but that is the truth. And many people, of course, it is not easy when you're at home with a beer or friends, and you're talking and explaining, and you move your head and talk with your friends, and then, or start saying, oh, remember the last fight when, no, it's not the same that a judge that is professional trained and concentrated 100%. It is really different. But now we're talking about two different systems. We're talking about the enhance and the 10th point. What is the basic difference? Who would you like to start?
Kevin?
Sure. So now that we're doing enhanced judging, and a lot of you have heard about this over the past couple of years, you'll have close, moderate, decisive. So it's not as easy just to say who won the round, but we want to say about close to by how much each one won around. So we can start becoming better. Because like we just talked about, I have a commentary that goes in my head too the entire time. So that commentary leads me to close, moderate, decisive. It gives a little bit better picture of the round at the end there. And you'll see the better judges will all start doing this and being a lot closer on things like that. And that's why we're here for this training to talk a little bit more about it. Chris, you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds right. I find when I use the close, moderate, decisive scorecards, I feel like I'm more engaged in the round, to be honest. I kind of like to know now. I just naturally do it. But I think it keeps me closer in the round. It's really a great technique. It's kind of our own way of having a mental meter where you should understand by the verbiage we'll share what it takes to kind of get back. So instead of not really knowing where you are in a round, that can flip on a head or a punch lands, you'll have a better understanding of how to kind of weigh that punch. What was the effect? How do you weigh the effect? How do you kind of look for things in a round or in between the two fighters that can kind of give a hint that it was an effective punch? We always joke around that when a guy gets hit pretty hard, he'll shake his head, and it's like, well, you told all the judges that, yeah, that hit you pretty good. So you should create your own way of looking at the effect of a punch, where that brings you, how much do you weigh it, and as the natural round, when I was taught by Bert Clement, don't only watch the knockdown, let's say, or a big punch, you got to kind of make sure you're watching what the effect is after that punch and what happens there, and that will help you kind of decipher as you go through the round.
We have the card here that has, of course, both systems together. That is the points, round, name of the boxer, and the 5 little boxes below with the enhanced scoring: close, moderate, decisive, extreme, and knockdown. So now you have to do 2 systems. You have to run 2 systems in your head at the same time.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, all rounds. I mean, obviously, we all know all rounds are a 10-9 must system. We need to have a 10 outside of just points, but we need to have a 10 system. The enhanced scoring is to help us as officials, also our commission, or obviously the governing bodies, to understand how did you get to that score and where were you in the round. Really kind of holds I believe it holds the officials a little bit more accountable. And again, it's a great tool for us to use to kind of track how we go through a round.
There's been instances when they've asked us to look at a fight because somebody brought up that they thought they won a round or something, the losing boxer, and you can usually see when we're all decisive, there's probably not a discussion to be had. One thing I will mention, because I was doing the remote scoring, I've been doing it for a long time now. Remember, when there's a knockdown, you only mark knockdown. You don't mark close, moderate, decisive, extreme decisive. You just mark knockdown whenever there's a knockdown in the ring, the round, sorry.
It is easier now because many times when you're scoring, it is like, oh, it is, I need something at the end, last 30 seconds to give the round to someone. Now that you can use the 10-point system and also think, okay, it was 10-9, but it was close. It is easier or it is harder?
I don't think it's any easier or harder. Victor, when you mentioned the time thing, unfortunately, I don't have the clock in front of me sometimes, so I don't know if it's the last 30 seconds unless I'm watching it on TV. So that's why, as we're judges, we're responsible for that time to keep that running score in our head. If there's 30 seconds left, if we're 10 seconds into the round and stuff's happened, there still should be a score in your head. So I think I find it, like Chris said, a little bit easier with my dialogue that goes in my head, that I know where I am close, moderate, decisive every second of that round. And it could be in my head, it could be early, and it could still kind of be even. Maybe if no punches have been thrown, it's still 10-10 sort of in my head. I don't think it's any harder. It's easier to concentrate now because I can't get distracted. If it was just completely devastation, during the whole 2.5 minutes of the round or something. I can't. I have to still keep focused now because I can't stop and go, all right, forget it. The red corner won. I'm engaged that entire time, close, moderate, decisive.
And in the fight will show, there is times in this fight that you have to make sure you're focused the entire round, which, bell to bell, and watch them and make sure your scores are right.
Chris, when we talked yesterday, you were saying that this is really interesting because as a fan, you evaluate the whole fight. And that is wrong as a judge point of view. So as a fan, you can do whatever you want, but if you're trying to score the fight, it is totally different, and you need to learn the system. How easy it is to go round by round and then clear your balance, your clock, your dialogue, or everything for the next round.
Again, it is my opinion. I believe that's what kind of makes the elite officials. We have a few on this call. That's really what makes them elite. Not only being able to focus for 3 minutes, which is a difficult task as it is with the distractions, but being able to flip a switch, forget what happened in that last round, refocus yourself, and then you start the next round fresh. In my shorter career, that's an area that I've really tried to work on. Talking to people that come and work in Las Vegas as I travel around different people at conventions. What I kind of do is I have a set routine that I'll do. I do some breathing techniques, really just try to make my mind understand that I'm separating. Obviously, it was a very difficult round. I did a fight at, I was part of the Allegiant Stadium fight with Terrence Crawford. I had the undercard. It was a very difficult fight, and it was intense. So I needed to work on that just to kind of calm myself down. When you're in that moment, it can be, can kind of get your heart going. So I do a breathing technique. I do some eye things. I'll look at the close rope, far rope, and then past it, kind of just continue to make sure my eyes are focused on the depth perception. That kind of triggers me to understand, okay, that round is over. We're starting a new round. And also the fight will show, we'll talk about during the fight is, excuse me, is just because a fighter does better doesn't mean they won. I think that some of the traps we fall into as younger judges or less experienced as myself, you'll get into a routine of what you see is the next round and the next round. You'll start to do that. And that can lead to very quick, a lopsided score where you'll have to explain yourself. So every 3 minutes, you stop, you take a break, just like that corner is, refocus. As they're coming out for the next round, you are coming out for the next round. Fans look at things in totality based on a bias. They'll think the first round, man, the guy killed him, and they can't lose that over a shorter fight or even some of the longer fights. And then they go crazy when they hear the score, but it's like, I didn't win any of the middle rounds. So that's the difference I feel between an official and a fan.
And it is really interesting because as a fan or as a commentator, you keep doing that. And you can't forget, and you go to the last round and talk about it. But well, I think we're ready to watch the first round. First, I want to thank everybody that is here. I love to see the people here. Of course, Tom Milley and my brother, David Sutherland. So good to have you here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Victor. Good seeing everybody on here.
It's like Babe Ruth coming down to the minor leagues for us. Yeah. Thank you, David.
I stepped on the scale this morning. I was a little too heavy, so I thought I better skip lunch and watch this.
Don't worry, I'm a WBC 2 division champion, deadweight and super deadweight. So scale, it doesn't matter. Okay. And of course, we have a lot of people here. Chris Tellas, Perla Rodriguez, my brother Antonio Carrillo, so many people. Mark Lyson, as always, is here. It's so good to have everybody here. And the guy that should be sleeping but never sleeps, he's like New York, Phil Austin. So good to have everybody here. Please, and Esteban Ruesga, it's a pleasure to have you here. If I forget any name, please forgive me. But let's go, Gilbert, with the videos.
Everybody, when we finish the round, I don't know if everybody's done this. We've done this in certain trainings that I've done remotely. Is you'll see a poll pop up, and you'll score the round on the poll using the enhanced technique. You'll see the fighter's name, and then you'll see 10-9 close or 10-9 C, 10-9 M, D, E, D, and then knockdown. So please score it. We want to try to use that poll. So if we see anything that is kind of, if we see it as close, someone has, or a few people have moderate or even decisive, I don't know if we'll call on you, but I think that with Victor and I speaking and Kevin, this is an interactive thing. We don't want to stand up in front of a podium and speak down to you or anything to that effect. A lot like we just heard, there's a lot of experience. As we call on you or raise your hand, we would like to try to have this interactive. Obviously, we all have work days or we got to go to bed or things like that. So we want to move it along, but we want to make sure that as we can answer questions as we move on. And then during the fifth round, Kevin and I will kind of talk our way through the round. We'll have a conversation, so you'll hear us talking, but kind of what is going through our minds as we see punches, as we see non-scoring punches, ring control, things like that. Just to give you guys a heads up.
Perfect. I think we're ready, and let's go, Gilbert.
Alejandro's in the gold, Yap's in the red.
That is the point where the balance start moving. Because in the beginning, you just reset it. It is different when you see this kind of action, and then you start to judge, but many times a fan can go with a punch that lands in the elbows or in the gloves, and even because it moved the opponent, they kind of score it. So far, Chris, Kevin, Paul, have you seen any big punch, any punch that make any difference?
Me currently, I'm sitting on I think the Alejandro kid. I have him close, just based on some scoring punches and a little bit of effect with the body that happened throughout the round. But it's a close round right now.
It is a normal round one. And many times you have to be ready for this, but also you have to be ready because even when you have one score, just one punch can change everything. And if the referee stop the round, you're gonna have to score at that time. So you cannot wait until the bell rings.
Yep, we want to know where we are at all times of the round. You have to know where you are. See if the poll
All right,
pops
everybody
up.
score the round. It'll pop up.
Hopefully.
Gilbert, okay.
There we go. Oof.
So you got to select the drop-down box.
And to confirm, Alejandro was gold, correct? In the gold.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep, Angel on
Alejandro was trimmed in gold. Yap was trimmed in red.
So
Thank you.
as we wait for the poll to come back, sorry, Kev. As we wait for the poll to come back, we'll start moving through. I had 10-9 close Alejandro. I felt that his body punches, especially the straight hand at the end near the end of the round, kind of confirmed it for me. It was a very close round. I think if Yap landed some more effective punches in the scoring zone, I think that it could have flipped to him. But I had it close 10-9 for Alejandro.
I also had the same thing, a 10-9 Alejandro. My dialogue that goes in my head, like Chris said, had doesn't matter that it was the last end of the round, had Yap landed a lot more, not I don't want to say a lot more. Had Yap landed more, he could have flipped it the other way too. It was a very close round.
But as you see, another thing is, we all watch the main event fights and things like that. But the 4-round fights and the 6-round fights and the 8-round fights, 10 and 12, are all really the same. I mean, these guys are trying to either start their careers or they're trying to extend careers. So when you sit down at a 4 or 6, you have to be ready because they don't have much feeling out time. Most fights come out, they're going to try to hit the gas, get those early rounds. So you've got to sit down, be focused, understand what you're looking for, use your pre-fight routine that we've gone over at WBC conventions and on the university. But you sit down, no distractions, and you're ready to go when the bell rings. This fight started a little slow. I've sat in chairs sometimes where you're saying, I really hope I see a big punch because you're very close. That's a natural thing. But as long as you know where you are, as long as you know where you are throughout that entire round, your score should reflect what you have seen and what you have scored. Gilbert, do we have the poll results? Yeah, we had, I think the moderate, probably about one person, I would guess. I would say if you were asking me about moderate, I would say maybe you're just moving a little quickly. I would, just kind of maybe slow down. I don't know how quickly you got to that round, to that part, but moderate in that scenario, I don't think it's not wrong because it's what you saw. I would just say maybe slow down a little bit. You're kind of maybe racing off as you're seeing punches. I write down things to remember. Let the round come to you. All 3 minutes of the round we're doing, so don't race out because then it'll be harder to try to get you back if the round does switch. You'll have too many big swings. Try to keep ourselves kind of even keel throughout the round. Kev?
Yeah, same thing. I wouldn't. Well, the few that picked Yap, you might want to watch that again because I don't think it was close enough that Yap would have won by a punch or two. It was closer to Alejandro. Not saying that you're wrong, but probably watch that one again. You might be going too slow in that case too, that you gave him too much back on some bigger, I think he had maybe one big punch that round.
It's harder seeing things on a screen,
It is.
obviously, as they're moving in circles. We understand that, but I will agree with Kevin. Don't fall for the big swings. They still have to be landing punches. Don't fall for those. The guy's throwing it from his shoelaces and it lands on the guy's back of his shoulder. Hey, it looks great for the fans. Maybe the announcers, Victor, is going to scream and yell, but it's not even a scoring punch. That is as you move up your ladder and you become to the top levels. Those are the little fractions that a very, very close round on big stages or at any stage can flip rounds for you. And then, you would be like Kevin's telling you, hey, you should probably go back and watch it.
These are commentators. Victor kind of commented on it earlier. These commentators are there to make this fight interesting. We've all been watching really terrible, slow fights, and the commentators are doing the absolute best to make it interesting to you. And, they say, oh, did he steal it at the end there? They want controversy. Controversy is more people watching. They can call us idiots when there's controversy. And so when they yell something like that, don't get that in your head. I mean, intentionally, the sound is not on this fight. So you just watch the punches. And anybody can watch this fight. This is from YouTube. You can look up Alejandro and Yap. I think it's maybe 5 or 6 years old.
It was in Las Vegas. There's a weird guy in the background.
Chris is sitting in the background if nobody noticed.
Not scoring. Okay, next round, Gilbert. Let's keep it moving. It's been about 2 minutes, so again, 1 minute. We know. Everybody refocus. again, let's score the round. Um,
I'll hold off too on where I landed on that round until everybody scores. There's one thing in the middle there. If everybody noticed the slip, there's times that the ref doesn't call it a slip. So it's really important to pay attention. And there's times that you might need to ask the ref, did you call a knockdown there? Because they get all crazy and everything like that. They might not count. I've seen things happen. So it's important that you make sure you know if it was a knockdown or not. It was clear that Robert Hoyle called a no knockdown there.
and remember, we don't decide knockdowns. That's the
Yeah.
referee's job. That's their ring. Our job is to score what they kind of tell us in terms of knockdowns or fouls. We can talk afterwards. Hey, Mark, did you see that? I thought it might have been a punch. Was this? Well, I saw slip. They control it, but you can always have a conversation. So everybody did it. Hey, Makola, what's up, bud? So I scored it 10-9 moderate for Alejandro. I thought that he pretty much controlled the round. I thought there was a clear winner. I thought that his work, I also felt the yap really didn't land of anything of effect. A lot of missed punches, short punches, elbows. So he didn't really have a lot of effective punches. I drifted into moderate, really also near the end. As you saw, I thought that when I saw the fighter get hit with a hard shot and he started to back up as he was coming forward most of the round, that punch I felt had enough effect to move me into moderate. I would say if you put close, I don't think anybody's going to eat your lunch for that. But I went into the moderate based on what I saw.
Same thing. I also hit the moderate, and not so close to close that I think you should have gotten to the moderate on that one, especially towards the end. A lot what Chris said. There was a lot of punches that didn't land in the scoring zone, missed. Not that we're counting missed punches, but make sure that they're scoring punches, scoring zone, effective punches.
I think that this round also kind of mentioned what we had talked about, a little bit of activity without achievement, right? He was coming forward, but what was he really doing coming forward? He missed a lot of punches. The other fighter was using his defense to not let the other person score a punch. We don't judge defense, but obviously good defense with your hands will eliminate a lot of effective punches. Gilbert, can we see the results? Okay. I would say I'll start at the bottom. The person who had Yap 10-9 close, again, I would go back and look at that. That was a pretty clear winner. I would figure if you're seeing Yap there, you're probably not rating the scoring zone very well. A lot of his punches land I saw a couple on the back of the shoulders, a lot on the elbows, and the other person, Alejandro, landed some pretty clear punches that brought me to the moderate.
Do you mind if I make a comment real quick?
Yeah, sure, Tom.
Go ahead, Tom.
Just whoever selected this fight, great job. A lot of times we're training on some more famous fights that everybody sees, or fights that are maybe a little more one-sided. But this is a really good. This is just a good fight. This is a fight that we see a lot, I feel, and it's just a great. It's a great training. I think we need to see more of these types of fights when we choose the fights that we're training on. A lot of times when you get a Crawford Canelo, we all watch the fight, or we
Yep.
have, we know the fighters. This is nice because a lot of guys don't know these fighters. I don't know these fighters, but it's kind of a fresh perspective. So for what it's worth, good job.
Hey, Tom, you want
Go
to
ahead,
dig
Kevin.
through YouTube and suggest some other 4, 6, and 8 rounders? It
Well,
takes a while.
I
It
think
takes a while.
also, I mean, Tom, we've made the case, kind of, I think everybody's seen the fights with everybody wearing the masks from COVID. So we're trying to, kind of get some new fights. Paul's a great resource. Obviously, WBC University has a ton. So if you guys have fights that maybe you want us to watch, bring it up on a thing. We're trying to keep it to the 6 to 8s just based on time. Send them along to WBC University. We'd love to see from you guys some fights. Obviously, we're always watching fights, but we're always looking for good ones.
I'll comment on just that last round, and then we can go to the next one. There were a handful of you that had decisive. Just like Chris said last round, you're probably going a little bit too fast. If you're already into decisive, you went too fast for that one. You should be still close to the moderate decisive fence. And if you're all the way indecisive, too much.
A lot of the
I have a
time.
question.
Oh, go ahead, Victor.
Yeah, with 18 seconds left, uh, Alejandro was moving the head, saying, no, it didn't hurt. And then he landed a couple of big punches. How does a judge work with this kind of reactions from the fighter that is receiving a punch?
In real time for me, you obviously see the head nod, but then he immediately started to get on his front foot and come after and actually land what I considered to be more effective punching. So not saying that those didn't count. I use them in my meter. It might have moved back a little bit, but then with then getting on his front foot again, it basically just not only capsized it, but also pushed me a little further. Situation to situation. A lot of fighters shake their head when they're about to get stopped. But this one, he showed afterwards the effect of the punch. Yes, there was an effect, but it wasn't enough to kind of move me off of what I ended up as the moderate.
Perfect.
I'm going to ask the group. I mean, I would like to be able to call on some people, or just say who had the score decisive. You don't have to answer if you'd like to. Explain. We'd love to hear it. And then we can either correct it or we can all agree on it. So after the next round, if we see some, I might just
Hey,
call on
Vincent
some people.
Ciantino, why don't you pay attention to this round and we'll call on you after that one. You just got randomly picked there. You're on the top right. You're in my top right corner. So
There you
get
go. Yeah, perfect. So Gilbert, I think we're ready for the next round. I want to share something before, and then we'll let Kevin. I try to rewatch fights of my own of Las Vegas because it helps me focus because obviously I'm in the background, which is a distraction. I know people that are walking by. I could see, Sutherland maybe picking his nose or something. So I use it as a way to say I have to really stay focused on this fight because it's easy for me to get distracted. So I watch a lot of fights from my hometown or areas that I know some officials or people by ringside because the natural thing for me is to see, hey, wait, that's this so and so sitting here. Oh, I saw so and so get up because our brains know and attach to that because we know them. So good trick is to try to watch fights almost like these that people and you got to stay focused. Did Kevin leave? Oh, David put his hand up.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was blocked by the glare from your forehead.
It happens a lot, man. That's why I get paid.
Just
That's why I
throwing
get
it back.
You got to
Just
why I
throwing
get
it
powder it up
back.
sometimes.
Pay-per-view tells me all the time. But yeah, that can be a distraction, I guess, as well that we have to try to keep an eye. Where's our guy? Who do we pick on? Vincent, where are
Victor,
we?
Vincent.
Right
Vincent,
here.
what'd you go with?
Yeah, so I went 10-9 moderate for Alejandro. The first minute, it was pretty low activity. There were some jabs landed on both sides, but slightly skewing towards Alejandro. And then as the round progressed, he took over more and more. He was like starting to get in the realm of moving into decisive, but didn't quite make it there for me. So as far as I could tell, it's a little choppy. I didn't see anything major landed by Yap.
Okay. Kev, what'd you get? And then
I had
we'll
10-9 close for Alejandro. I'd say he got closer to the moderate, and Yap did land some at the end that brought it back into the close. So, Chris, what about you?
I ended up staying in the close. I felt that Yap kind of landed a few effective punches that kind of kept me in close. I can see moderate. I can see in moderate. If you're getting near decisive again, I would just say to get to decisive, man, you really gotta kind of beat the guy up, land
Yeah.
a lot of effective punches, kind of really show like for this guy to flip it from decisive to winning a round, you're going to need the guy to be stumbled. You're going to need a serious. So if you think that way, almost you'll slow yourself down a little bit. But I had 10-9 close, leaning toward moderate. Again, I gave it for a few of the punches. Let's see who wants to. Can we see the poll actually, Gilbert, if you have that?
If you're Vincent, decisive, if your mom was sitting there, if it was
Yeah.
decisive, your mom would go, that guy won the round, kind of thing.
Yeah, when I said that though, I was saying like he was moving in that
Yeah.
direction for me,
Sure.
but I didn't notice as many. I saw one or two decent punches from Yap towards the end of the round, but it may have been choppier for me on my side. So
Sure.
maybe I didn't catch
It's
one or two, but I ended up solid moderate.
Again,
tough to watch on video.
the great training aspect is to use these fights to just figure out your pace. I do it a lot of the times. I watch rounds. I try to watch fast rounds. Heavyweights, we see not a lot of punches sometimes. Maybe Usyk currently is a guy who throws a lot of punches, but usually heavyweights are because of the length of the fight, maybe they slow. Use different fight techniques just to figure out your pace. How do you get close? And again, that's a great conversation. Man, I was thinking about it. If maybe there was another minute and it stayed the same way, I probably would have went into a decisive, like you said. But currently, I sit in moderate. That's a great kind of way to do it. I did see on the poll whether it was a misclick. Someone had Yap? Does anybody want to state their case? And we can kind of talk about it, what you saw. If you don't, we can move on. See if any hands are up.
Sorry, I had to step away real quick. I did go 10-9 Yap.
Okay.
There was a punch with 140 left in the round, and it was thrown by Alejandro from the camera angle. I didn't count that punch. It was Yap kind of rolled with that punch a little bit.
Yep.
Had that been a flush punch that I saw, I would have went 10-9 the other way. And then the other thing, I thought Yap came forward all round. Also, so I gave him a little credit for that. Otherwise, I thought punching wise, I thought it was pretty even both ways. I thought it was pretty close, a pretty close round. That one punch would have swung it for me. If Alejandro would have been on the front foot the whole fight, I probably would have swung it that way as well. I just thought it was a pretty close round. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no. Again, there is no real wrong. It's what you saw. That's a great thing about being an official. Again, we just try to have conversations, not saying you're right, I'm wrong, or I'm right. I've missed rounds recently that I probably shouldn't have, which happens. So, from my end, if you're hinging the round on one punch, that is a very, very close round. So I would try to use the entirety of the round to get your decision. I think Yap did throw some good punches. I think he landed good punches. That's why I had it close. But I would say that that's probably a way to go back the other way. Dave, you want to jump in?
Yeah, just real quick. We see this a lot in fights. You're going to see a fighter is going to lose the first two or three rounds there, and then they're going to start doing a little bit better. Yap definitely was moving forwards in this one, was landing some shots, but I have to disagree a little bit. I think Alejandro did land some good, effective right hands that is turning the head of Yap. And we always talk about the effect and how you tell the effect. And, the number one thing is that, you get a knockdown, or a knockout. That's the biggest one. And it goes from there to the knockdown to the spaghetti legs to, backing the opponent up. And, if you look at the overall round in its entirety, I would look at who was landing the more effective shots. And if you couldn't come up with a winner by using the first criteria, which is the scoring punches and the effect of those punches, then move into the second criteria, which I think to what Tom was trying to say there. He was, punches being equal, he moved into the second criteria. So I just warn officials, be very careful. You're going to see fighters do better in rounds 3 and 4, maybe 5, but make sure that if you're going to give them that round, make sure they really earned it. That's it.
I'll commend everybody for being on here because consistency is what we want. So when we were doing remote scoring analysis, we had 2 degrees of separation here. We had more than 1 degree because we went 10-9 moderate Yap all the way to 10-9. I mean, we had a decisive in there too, which is a little bit too fast, but the majority fell between moderate 10-9 and moderate 9-10. That's a lot where we're seeing something different that we need to get to consistency.
And I
All
have a
right.
question. If
Oh,
you
sure.
have open scoring as a judge, of course you can hear what the other judges are doing.
You
How do you
can.
handle this?
One, Victor, a lot of times when you're overseas, I don't understand it because they speak too fast. So that's a positive. I can't understand what they're saying, especially in Japanese. I try not I try not to listen. This is my minute down. I don't want anything to get in my head that affects how I'm watching a fight. So I myself personally, I try not to listen.
And it is important to have the confidence that, as Chris said, you score what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Then-
mean, I'll be completely transparent. I lead with my ego. I truly believe that what I see is what I see, and that's where I do. Now, after a fight, I mean, if I'm doing a fight with David or Kevin or someone else, obviously I've done fights with people and saying, love hearing what they see. I love it, because even if we had the same exact score, we both had 10-9 close, we might have gotten there differently. But if I hear open scoring, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm right. That's just my own way because I know there's another round coming, and I want my confidence. You should be blindly confident almost during a fight in what you're seeing. After the fight, be humble, listen to people, understand it. Like David Sutherland was talking to Tom telling us what he saw, Vincent telling us what he saw, Kevin and I, Victor. That's where we get better. But in a fight, be as confident as you physically can. Don't question yourself. That round is over. Like Tom, let's say Tom all of a sudden's like, ugh, should I have given that punch like he's saying? He now has to flip a switch and say, I was right. I'll talk about it after and what's coming up next. And I'm ready for the next round. That's kind of, again, like David and the top level judges. That's what they do very well. Biondo, what's up, man? Got your hand up. Maybe he got his hand up. Muted.
Your microphone is off. Biondo. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Yes, good evening, Chris. Yes, good evening, team. I'm from Uganda.
Yeah, I know you are.
I have a scenario I want to make you look into. I mostly do remote scoring, but there is a certain fighter was scoring. Then in round one boxer got a knockdown. Then the referee didn't count it. I went ahead to score as a normal round. I didn't score a knockdown. Then amidst the fight, then a supervisor came to a referee and told the referee the first round was a knockdown and it was a remote scoring. I had already done my scoring. Then I don't know how we handled that in remote scoring
Sure.
because you
It's
can't bring back the scoring. I don't
Yeah.
know whether you can do something about it. It's
we know
really
it
challenged
happens.
me because
Yeah, you won't be punished for
yeah,
that.
you're not
If
going
you
to
ever,
be.
and also if you ever want to shoot an email to Kevin, just say, hey, I saw this in a fight, and he'll probably reply and say, yeah, don't worry about it.
It's one of those you're
That
going to have.
happens.
Everybody's going to have the same score probably for that round.
Yeah.
They all scored at a knockdown, and we know something weird happened.
They go in the back end and kind of flip it around. So I wouldn't worry about that. In a live scenario, in Las Vegas, we have instant replay, which has happened to us. So we've had knockdowns pulled back. We've had the commission come over 3 rounds later and say, hey, that round 2, that wasn't a knockdown. Does it change your score? And you're like, and so you have to kind of use your memory and understand where you are. That's why this idea of knowing so coldly. But again, and I would lean to Mark, the referees or the judge in terms of remote scoring, they know it. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Don't worry too much about that.
My man
Thanks.
from Ukraine, what's
thank
up?
you, thank you, thank you.
What you
Yeah,
got?
right. I just want to need to add a few sentences about the influence of the outside noises. Being a supervisor many times of the WBC title fights in Ukraine, I noticed that especially for the Ukrainian local commission judges who are certified as WBC judges, they are very sensitive about a noise and support of one of the boxer, and also about the reaction of the corner. I mean, of the trainers, etc. That's why for the title bouts, I made it like a rule. It's a recommendation for sure by WBC rules, but for us here, it's a rule to avoid any misunderstanding and not let's say not fair judging. We use the noise reduction earphones.
Sure.
So all the title bouts, it's about a year we using this practice. We get it from Daniel Vandeville, and he always use it. That's why some people can focus, not taking it into account everything what's happening around. But especially for the younger judges, not so experienced, it's a little bit hard. And sometimes the uh, missed punches, the boxer throwing them, and the reaction of the crowd is "Huh," like he hit, and they count, and at the very end of the round we get the wrong decision. That's why we use it. It's very useful for the beginners, let's say.
It's a good point. And just earlier, Gilbert, who put all this together, asked, should I leave the sound on? And sometimes I go through my head like a beginning boxing class when Mr. Ford used to leave the sound on, and then there would be a big punch, and a third of the people in the class would like gasp, "Oh, that was amazing," and everything like that. And all those people would get corrected. Like, what do you listen to the crowd for? What are you making a reaction for? If you ever do a fight in Japan, the crowd seems to be very lopsided to one fighter. Their fighter misses a punch and everybody screams.
Yep.
The other guy lands the biggest shot you've seen in your life and nobody makes a noise. So Chris keeps saying it. That's when You move yourself from a good judge to an elite judge, a great judge to an elite judge. I don't know what's going on back there. I don't
I
pay
mean,
attention.
early fights, when there's maybe not a huge crowd, the corners you can hear a lot. In terms of the headphones, I think if it helps you, you should use it.
Yeah.
I would tell you to train with it. But for me personally, I prefer to have my ears open because I listen for punches. I mean, a real good body punch that might be around a corner a little bit, you can hear it. And I think that helps me understand the effect of the punch. But if, as you're saying, obviously, your officials and you're a supervisor, I would have people train and see where they're comfortable. I mean, it's a personal preference. For me personally, I've really never tried it, so maybe I would, but I almost in my mind I'm like talking back to a corner, like, nah, that wasn't a punch. I mean, I have a habit I've broken where if a punch doesn't land, I almost shake my head. It's kind of telling myself that punch of which you don't want to see. But in my hand, when I hear someone go, "Oh my God, what a great punch! Can you believe it?" I'm like, no, that wasn't close. It's almost reaffirming what I saw. But again, for us, distractions come in all shapes and sizes. People walking behind you, celebrities, fights, referees sitting right in front of you. I mean, Bark and I have joked, and we've all joked to Scobie and these guys, like, just move a little to the left, like,
You know where I am. What are you
yeah,
stopping me for?
but our job is to score what we see and be a professional and understand this is a job. We are not a fan. We don't get influenced. Our influences are really the scoring criteria. So, but I understand it.
And thanks God that ring girls they are
What ring
going
girls?
into the ring between the rounds.
I've never seen them before.
Uh,
Let's go to
Nicola,
the
Don Jose,
Exactly.
Don Jose told me when the fight is on, mouth shut.
Yeah,
When they're
mugshot.
not fighting, eyes out of the ring because the ring are girls and everybody's there. So you will get caught in a picture or something. If you're looking at the number, the picture will say that you're looking at the girl. So
Yep.
always mouth shut when they're fighting, eyes out of the ring when they're not.
True. All right, Gilbert, you want to go to the next one?
That was a great comment. Everybody put their scores in? Okay, we'll start. What I saw, I think that this is a round like we had spoken about briefly in the beginning of it is, as rounds go, we have individual fights. This was what I saw as a round that easily you could have kind of just rolled with it and said it's the same as I saw last round. I had 10-9 Yap. I felt that his punches had more effect. It wasn't just that he did better that round. I think he won that round, what I saw. I thought that the body punches had effect. I think that he did a much better job of not being hit so much. I think that he kind of controlled the pace. I felt that the output and effective punches out of the other corner did not have as much effect. Alejandro, so I gave it 10-9 Yap. I thought it was a very, very close round. As Tom had mentioned, I think that if Alejandro had interjected with maybe some more heavier punches, in my opinion, I probably would have went the other way. It was that close for me. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, same thing. I also had a 10-9 for Yap, also close. He finally picked it up a little bit in this round, which is a great point Chris made. If you're thinking about the three previous rounds where they're all kind of close anyway, and you think it's just gonna happen again, you could have got caught in your own head and given that round to Alejandro when it was close, but I think Yap was the clear winner in that one.
Let's see the scores and we'll see if we can maybe give a little more light to it.
Gilbert, do you have the totals?
All right.
There it is.
Let's start with just the moderates. I think if you're moderate in this round, I think you're maybe maybe you're just moving a little fast. I think again this is your opinion. I lean close. 42-39. That was a very close round. I would for the Alejandro group. I don't think you're wrong. I think that was a very close round. I think what you kind of saw was a lot of what was happening, but you didn't give enough credit to the other guy, kind of changing his style and seeing the different fractions in that round. A couple really, really good body punches, kind of kept it. I would go back, watch it again. But again, what you score is what you score. It's a great learning round. That is a difficult round. We took a longer break in between the rounds, which can happen. We don't control if the referee has to go over in between a round and pull the doctor in and it ends up being a 6-minute break. I know recently we just had that. We had a fight, Paul, I think that you had mentioned that there was a large gap in between rounds. That is strenuous on a judge. You have to know where you are, how you're focused, so that you can either 1 minute or 6 minutes know where you are. I think what David Sutherland had mentioned, obviously Yap probably heard from his corner, you're losing, so he came out with a little more aggression, effective aggression, and some more scoring punches. So that's where I saw it, but in my opinion, I wouldn't go too difficult on the people that went Alejandro. All my suggestion is watch it again. If you see the same thing, you see the same thing. Let's pop to the next round. This is sorry, Kev. This is a round that we're gonna maybe Kevin, you want to talk through this round, and Victor and I or Paul can jump in during the round, and we'll add some commentary of where we are.
Sure.
Adelante con el siguiente, Gilbert.
See, they're starting some action, but I'm still not looking at anything that's not scoring. I know it's a little bit difficult on the video, but still got to watch for these punches. Don't pay attention to who's in the background. It's still close. Yap's probably, if it had ended right here, I'd give it 10-9 Yap close. Nice shot there.
I'd probably be 10-9 close Alejandro. That wasn't a scoring, in my opinion, that wasn't a scoring punch behind his head. Again, back of the head, not a scoring. These are kind of rolling off the shoulder, kind of a Floyd Mayweather roll, not really landing. I have 10-9 close Alejandro. Probably even right now with the body punch. Sorry, Kev.
Yeah.
Probably have Yap up close.
Yap up
a little
close.
Bit, just because of the combo. Didn't land.
Blocked it.
Block. Nothing.
Yes.
10-9 close, Yap. Probably even. Hook to the belly, left hook. In fact, backed him up.
Go back up. Alejandro 10-9.
I got
Back to
Alejandro
even on that
10-9.
one.
So I would be saying to myself, blue close, just repeating it over and over. But it keeps me still blue close. Probably blue close to even.
Not a scoring punch. Hit his arm there.
Nothing. This is the ineffective aggression coming forward with no real purpose. Scoring. Alejandro close. Nice left hook. 1-2, backs the guy up with a jab. Left hook, kind of an even punch there, I would say. They kind of landed at the same time. I think Alejandro had a little more effect on his punch, not a scoring punch. I have blue close. Yeah. Still blue close. There's a good punch, backed them up. Start moving close toward in my mind, I'd be moving kind of close toward the moderate. Not racing, but slowing. It's another good left hook. Probably still close. Miss punch. Tie up. Good left hook at the end. So let's score the round.
At the end there, Yep landed some. So you got to, how far were you into the close? Remember that.
Sometimes it is really interesting to see how the balance move at some point real quick, and then there's a gap, and then it can move again really quick, and you have to pay attention, as Kevin said. You don't know, you're not watching the clock, so you have to keep concentrated, because even the last punch counts. So it was interesting, and there was a punch, jab punch at the end. So you have to count that and then decide.
I've had, Victor, you say that, and there's times that I've watched a fight at home on TV and scoring it in my head. I'm thinking like, all right, this round's over. And I catch myself, I could see a clock there. I catch myself looking down 5 seconds early to put a score down when I don't know what could happen in that last 5 seconds. So,
and the problem is that watching the clock can get you anxious, because you already know, you already have a result for that round.
Yeah.
You still have 10 seconds left or 20 seconds left.
Like you said, there's times when there's 30 seconds left. And Gilbert, if you want to share the score, there's 30 seconds left and it could still almost be even. And then I'm going to get anxious that I had to push myself one way or the other. And I don't want to, it didn't come to me then, like Chris says. I pushed myself on it.
I'll speak from my experience. And again, to commission is different supervisors, but in Las Vegas, if you come to Nevada, if you mention in your post that at 30 seconds left in the fight there was a big punch, that they're gonna get all over you, because they say, how did you know how much time was left? Why would you understand how much time? That means you took your eyes off what you're supposed to be doing. Our focus is just the fighters. Now on a screen, peripheral vision, but I wouldn't use that in how I would talk about a round. In the beginning of the round, I saw that was very close. I saw that Yap, I had him up in the beginning. I felt that after that there was a little bit of swing, but with the effective punching of Alejandro, I gave it 10-9 close to Alejandro. The punch at the end, I saw the left hook. In the last, obviously the clapper went. I saw the left hook from Alejandro that kind of solidified the round for me, and then Yap landed, and that kind of confirmed me that it's a close round. If Yap doesn't land it at the end, do I go moderate? Probably not, but I'd be more close to that end of it. For the people that had Yap, again, I would go back and watch it. I think, again, you might have been looking at non-scoring punches, kind of the ankle to the back of the heads, to the back of the Obviously, we can't hear Bobby Hoyle. He might have been warning, hey, that's back of the head. That is also another indicator from the referees that's on a scoring punch. But I had a 10-9 close. As you kind of heard Kevin and I, we're not reacting to every single punch either. We don't want to be like this. This is a horse race for the whole way around. We're watching it slowly. Keep yourself even keel. If you start to see yourself, well, I'm close. Take a deep breath. Go slow. Rely on your training. But that was a close round. So if you have decisive or moderate in that, you're just going a little fast. If you had Yap, I would watch it again, and I would just slow down a little bit. Maybe you're giving Yap a little bit too much credit for the overhands. Gilbert, you want to get to the last round?
Paul, I think Paul has a comment.
Oh, the poll hasn't come yet.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think this was a great example of how the mental meter works. Like Chris just said, this is like a horse race. But the conversation that Chris showed us is the internal conversation we should have every single round, every single second, so we can know how we are moving. Like it was like very descriptive, the conversation Chris just gave us, like step by step, second by second, describing what's happening. And if we do have these conversations in our minds, it will be very helpful to know where we at and how to score a round.
When there's new judges on here, you need to figure out what your is. And I'll tell you my way, I use numeric numbers in my head. That's the way I do it. Everybody's going to have a different idea, but when you're a newer judge, you're going to have to figure out. And I've started different ways too, and then I figured I landed on what worked for me. But go ahead, Gilbert. I think we're running kind of behind, so let everybody get to lunch, dinner.
Say, Bobby's warning them there. Watch the back of the head.
What?
Okay, score the round for us, and then we'll have a quick conversation. We'll kind of wrap up. I want to mention a few different things about just kind of mechanics, and then we'll start watching the World Cup.
Somebody said it earlier, and I just want to emphasize it again. Somebody said this to me many years ago. When you're a boxing judge, it's not a hobby. And he goes, nobody has a hobby that if you screw up, it costs somebody $1 million payday. So maybe it was Tom who said it earlier, or something like that. These 4s and 6 rounds. I've listened to this fight. That Alejandro guy, he's 7-0. That Yap's a bit more of a journeyman, like 30-15 or something like that. But clearly Alejandro's trying to make boxing his career. So if you're not paying attention, you could get the wrong score and ruin this guy's career or have him take a big step back. That's why it's so important that everybody pays attention for all 3 rounds, and you know how to pay attention for all 3 rounds.
And just to kind of follow up with Kevin, that doesn't start when we sit down either. You know, when you show up to a fight, you're working. No matter if you're sitting ringside or you're sitting on the side, you're a working official. If you're there early as a WBC official and you maybe have the main event or something, you're still working. You should be scoring fights. Now do it at your own pace. Maybe you don't want to tire out, but you shouldn't be walking around getting popcorn. You're there to work. I know in Las Vegas, which is my home, the commission will not take gladly. They see you 3 rows back talking to a random person, or buddies are at the fight, or you're not paying attention. Hey, we're paying you to be here. This is very important to a lot of people, and it should be very important to us. Obviously, we know the president, Mr. Suleiman, takes it very, very seriously. That's why he puts all this on. So I would just implore everybody, when you're coming to these, when you're going to a fight, take it seriously. You can be a fan at home. I watch a lot of different fights that I'm a fan of. I know obviously we're all fans, but when I show up to work, it's non-biased, and I'm there to work, and I'm there to prove myself as a very good official, and yet I can be trusted. I want to be trusted by the president, the other WBCs, supervisors. When they see me show up, I want them to feel that this guy's going to give us a solid score. As you hopefully travel or at your home states, you want to be a trusted official, and it comes from, doing the work. Gilbert, you want to show us?
Let's see it.
Okay. I will start where I was.
Yeah.
I'm in the 10-9 close group. I felt that there was a winner in the round, but I don't think that Alejandro showed enough effective punching and scoring punching to push him into the moderate. I was going that way, but every time I seemed to drift toward it, I felt that Yap kind of drove him back with some punches. Some good body punches. It looked a little bit to me that Alejandro kind of took a little bit of foot off the gas there at the end, and that's where he started to allow scoring punches from Yap that drew me back into 10-9 close. If you're in the decisive, in my opinion, you're going too fast again. You're just a little quick. Just kind of don't race to that red light, because if you find yourself drifting into the decisive and something goes on, again, it's very hard to kind of get yourself back. Kev?
There was one 10-9 Yap. I'd go back and watch that round.
Yap didn't win that.
Yeah, there was no chance that Yap won that round.
No, he didn't win that one. I mean, we could probably dissect it, but if you're dissecting it to get to Yap, again, in my opinion, you're being a little too fine, kind of looking among the trees, among the woods. I mean, Yap is bleeding. Not that that's an indicator, but it's an indicator that there was an effective punch. Guys bleed differently. Some guys got leather faces. Some guys got better chins. I'm not there to judge his chin, but seeing blood and seeing damage on his face, that's an effective punch. Kev, what'd you have?
I had also 10-9 for Alejandro. Close, sorry.
Okay. So I had it 59-55. I gave the 4th round to Yap. The judges that were ringside, I believe it was 258-56 and then 159-55, all for Alejandro. I can ask DeLuca or those guys. I should see them pretty soon. Maybe they'll remember which round. I know they gave him the 4th. But again, that would be something that if you have 58-56, 59-55, you're okay, because again, the right fighter won, which is obviously the most important thing. A couple of things I wanted to touch on, the 10-10 rounds. That's like seeing a unicorn. You shouldn't have a 10-10 round, in my opinion. We're paid to find the winner of the round. And that round, with these close rounds we looked at, there is a winner in those rounds, and our job is to decipher that, whether it's fractions or miles. That's why we have enhanced scoring. 10-10 rounds are rare. The other one is knockdowns is a 10-8 round. It will take a lot to get that point back. You really have to really work to get that point back. A knockdown is like a home run in our baseball. Sorry, it is a 10-8 round. I think there was a Joshua, maybe the Joshua Usyk fight years ago over, and I'm not sure, I could maybe find it. I think Joshua got a point back. It's kind of the last one, but you're going to have a lot of explaining to. Hey, if you see it, you see it, but you're going to have to explain yourself how you gave that point back. And then the other thing is, we're a family. We're all kind of working at this together. There shouldn't be any talk among what this judge did or what that judge did, or especially a referee or what they did, because you are not in their shoes. I always say I trust the guy sitting 1 foot away or the official in the ring. I trust them instead of me sitting at home or my dog's jumping on my lap or so on. So we support each other. If you disagree with Kevin or myself, hey, find our number, find our email, shoot me an email. Let's have a conversation about it. You see me at the conventions or at fights, always open to having conversations. We're allowed to disagree. That's how we get better. But really, there should not be any comments about other officials' performances.
Tyler, sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there was one question that I just wanted to answer quick. Tyler,
Sure.
I think it was Tyler. You had a question. What's a 10-8 extreme decisive? I'll make it fairly simple in how I interpret it, that you're surprised the other guy's still standing. It's that fine line between he hasn't got knocked down and you can't believe the ref hasn't stopped it yet. I'm watching it going, oof, man, that guy's got a chin. Like, he has taken some hard punishment and he just hasn't got knocked down for whatever reason. He's got amazing balance or anything like that. Not the ropes kept him up, but it's got to be the other fighter did everything that he could possibly do. His coach couldn't tell him anything else, but the fighter did not get knocked down.
And then again, those kind of like giving the point back, those are rare. Be sure you're not racing to the extreme decisive, because we all have bosses. If you go 10-8 without a knockdown, you're just going to have to explain yourself. Again, if you see it, you see it. I would always lean toward that has to be really just one-way traffic. I mean, you are one-way traffic. There isn't really any fight back, like Kevin was saying, with the effectiveness of knocking the guy out. But it's about 11:30. It's been quite the talk. I know Kevin and I we're developing it with WBC University. We'd like to do more of these, kind of show some different fights, talk through fights, and then we always have the PowerPoint to back us up, to give us our verbiage. But again, we're a family. I look forward to seeing people when I do. Please come to the convention. We want to try to maybe do some different things in the convention, obviously more interactive. We want to hear from you so we can give our explanations to you specifically, instead of you trying to hear it from us and having questions. So we want to try to kind of create these little echo chambers where we can have good conversations. But hope everybody's team does well in the World Cup. Obviously, we'll see, and we can all have a beer or whatever at the next convention for every team who wins. But it's great to see everybody. Thank you for taking the time. That's all from me.
Kevin, any last comment?
No, I'll echo everything Chris said. Practice, that always helps. Even if you watch these fights at home, now it's great. Now we can find scores on the internet and everything like that. I will say, I don't write me 3 years after I did that fight and ask me what I had per round, because I really stick to I couldn't tell you if I didn't have this written down next to me. I probably couldn't tell you what I got in the first round. That round's out. And like Chris said, it makes it hard sometimes when they come back and ask you a question. But keep practicing, everybody. That's what we're here for. We're all here to make each other better. There's not a lot of people that do this in the world. When you think about it, there's very limited amount of professional boxing judges that do it at this level. So just like a baseball player, if you don't keep up your skills, or soccer or football or anything like that, you got to keep your skills up or else you're booted to the minor leagues. So keep practicing, everybody. Show up for these events, show up for these conventions.
Hey, Mark, you got anything? Mark Leinson, you got anything?
No, I was just listening along to everybody. It's been a good, informative talk today. I think it's good for everybody. I know we hit on before about the noise from the crowd and that, but we quite have. I know in the UK we quite often have the corners with the certain coaches we know who every time a punch doesn't even land correctly and people are shouting, "Oh, great punch, great punch." This is all experience, Good seeing you all, guys. Yeah, stay safe.
Mark's got the hardest job in boxing too, when he's got to do a 10-rounder, be the ref and the judge.
Yeah.
Why so it keeps him so good looking and so young looking. So we all could dine out on that.
I'll buy you a pipe for that.
We'll take it. We'll take it. But anyway,
I want to thank you. I want to thank you, everybody. It was an amazing WBC Talks. I think we learned a lot. When we talked, Chris, about this, that was exactly how I imagined to get into your head and listen you both saying, "Oh, this is a good punch now," and learning how you do it, and then I can find my own way. It is amazing. And if you want to, many times you said, if I'm a basketball player, but I'm not good enough, I want to be a referee so I can be in the court. But as you said, this is different. It's a job. You want to be close to the ring. As a fan, buy a ticket. Don't become a judge, because it's going to be really different, and you're going to enjoy it a different way, but you're not going to enjoy the fight as a fan. So thank you very much for everything. I think it was one of the best WBC Talks, and we have to do some more.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're planning. I know a schedule come out. We're kind of planning so everybody can see maybe like the third Thursday of each month. We're going to have different talks, some refereeing, some scoring, kind of some things that will that help judging. So we're putting it together. And thanks everybody for coming. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks everyone.
I really appreciate this. I want to thank, of course, Dwayne Ford.
Thank you.
That he's always there teaching everybody, and Mauricio Suleiman and Xochitl Lagarda. Thank you very much for being here with us. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
See you.
Thank you.